So here is a quick Zoom update as of 7:40 at night on April the 9th, just to let you know where we are with where things are with Arta today. So from our last Zoom update, you'll know that she was admitted into Royal Jubilee Hospital, RJH for short, in the PCC tower that Steve worked on several years back, on the third floor in cardiac, because it's the only bed they had available, and lucky us to get a bed up there. And so now they've been doing a bunch of work on the last few days on the team. So as of today, which is now Friday, she is being seen by Dr. Anderson in the palliative care unit. So she's been moved to the 8th floor, 8 Southeast or whatever, 8 in the, so top floor of RJH, in the palliative care unit with a woman. Yeah, so Dr. Jody Anderson is coordinating things at that level with Arta. We've got an assigned social worker to help negotiate other things. So her name is Michelle Dale, and she can be so we've got a phone number for her if anyone wants to talk to her, but she's helping with things like getting Arta moved on to the medical services plan, since, for example, to complete the process, Arta is supposed to go down to BC driver's license to get her photo taken. So that's just not going to happen. So Michelle, the social worker, is helping us with getting that part of the paperwork all done to get Arta moved on to MSP. So there's not a problem. So 2 thumbs up for Michelle. So the nice thing about the palliative care unit is that they do have visiting hours. Every unit in the hospital seems to be different, but they have visiting hours 1 till 4 every day. So when she called tonight to say that they'd moved her, I think they'd been working towards it all day. It was already past 4 o'clock. So when I pointed out to her that it was past 4 o'clock and we hadn't seen her since Wednesday, or whichever day that was that we last took her in, Wednesday, Michelle said she'd see what she could do. So she talked to whoever is the director of the floor there, and they gave permission to have 2 people come in to visit tonight, as long as they were in by 7 o'clock and probably out before 9 to make sure Arta could get some rest. So Mary and Richard skedaddled over there right away. So Steve dropped them off and we'll pick them back up later. So the 2 of them are over there. I got a text from them. They got in the front doors, which were, blocked already, but they got in, and so they're there. Tomorrow, we also are going to be having an extended visiting hours block of window on Saturday that they'll make available for 2 people again. So I think, again, I'll send Mary and Richard over. And I think they can get there as early as 10 in the morning. And people can, of course, phone. And probably the thing we should do is we'll send them over with a laptop. So if anyone wants to Zoom in to Arta, then the family who are there can help facilitate that. So anyone who wants to can probably just Zoom in to have a conversation with Arta tomorrow. She's still on the tube, and they're going to keep the tube in her through the weekend until Monday. So as far as I understand it at this point, things are always changing. The hope is that on Monday, the GI doctor, the gastrointestinal doctor, whose name I have forgotten, who specializes in placing stents in this place, operates out of the Victoria General Hospital, which is where Arta had the biopsy done in the first place. So my understanding is that on Monday they'll transfer, or Sunday, I don't know, they'll transfer Arta over to Victoria General for that procedure to see if they can in fact place the stent. I think they're also trying to see if they can have the anesthetist who's at the Royal Jubilee Hospital do some sort of anesthetic block in her stomach to block off the pain, so that they can reduce meds and nausea stuff on her to make her more comfortable. So I think whether or not that can happen, they still had pieces of the puzzle floating. So there depends on who's available on the weekend and if they can get the anesthetist to do that, and even if they do it, whether or not it works. So as always, things are a bit mobile, and they seem very lovely and well in control there in the palliative unit, and very understanding that the primary concern at this point is to make sure that Arta has family with her at all times. So it's not just, is she getting care, but is she having people with her, so that she'll be much more comfortable there. So they're trying to, planets align, moving things, moving the stars, will everything line up that they're trying to see, and having more time to keep that pump drawing stuff out of her stomach should only be to the good, if they can get things cleared out to get a better picture of what's there in her stomach. Dr. Anderson reported that she'd had a preliminary conversation with Arta, whose initial proposition had been that she wasn't all that interested in chemo, but was open, and it sort of would depend on what the information was about it. Dr. Anderson reported that she had spoken to the oncology people. So the oncologist, the cancer doctor, had seen Arta's file and has been assigned, but hasn't seen her yet. And that doctor said that they could offer some chemotherapy to shrink the size of the tumor to kind of give her some relief. But that particular procedure, they would only offer if Arta first has the stent placed and then recovers from the stent and is sort of up and functioning. So that's the information that Dr. Anderson shared, but of course it's still, there's more conversation to be had, but that little one piece of the puzzle is what Dr. Anderson, what she shared with us. I think Kath is seeking more information about whether or not there's some radiation that can be done initially to shrink the blockage in order to increase the odds of a stent. So I think there's a number of pieces that are in play in order to figure out how to kind of maximize the amount of time we have and Arta's comfort. So that's what's going on all of that front. So any questions people can ask? We've got, again, Lorna Ross, we've got a nurse coordinator, we've got a social worker assigned, we've got phone numbers. Mary and Richard are there right now. They'll probably do a little video update tonight reporting on what they've seen, as we've had sort of a day for Arta to settle in. On our end, I'm sure other people got phone calls from her today as well. Certainly our experience on this end is that she's going to be very happy to have people around. She wants to have conversation, but it's a little bit hard to talk with the tube down her throat. But I think that tube isn't going anywhere until they can, because it's helpful in reducing a lot of the pain. So Steve went in last night. Yeah. So using his secret superpower, I am a VHI employee vest, and his super secret, I can get into every place card to get to the cardiac ward, but still, even he with all his superpowers couldn't just automatically get in. But he did have a conversation with the people on the ward there. And when he informed them that he had a relative in there, they made a call up the chain and gave him 5 minutes. So he got 5 minutes in yesterday with Arta, enough to go over and take her pens and books to write in, which was her primary request for them. And then there was also, I'll show you some of the other pictures he sent back. So here is one of the pictures she was really proud of. As you may or may not know, that is a little pot of Vaseline. So she's had some Vaseline that she can use to make her fingers feel beautiful and soft. And then Steve sent along this picture. Oh, sorry, oh no, that's not a very good picture. And maybe nobody wants to see that one anyways. That is a picture of the goop that is coming out of her body. So that is what she's attached to, is this little brown, this cup that is pulling that brown liquid out of her stomach, which is so awesome. So this is what it kind of looks like when she's in place. You can see here her and her happy face, and then this tube that's up her nose runs up into this little red thing and just keeps sucking the goop out of her stomach. But she is, as you can see in the photo, she's actually looking better than she did before, and it's relieved a lot of the pressure in her belly. So that's really, everything's doing what it's supposed to be doing. Things are moving along, we hope. And that is all for, no, I'll give you one more. So we decided when we were trying to think about what gifts of love to give to Arta, we decided we could best share with her by going off to take some photos. This one for your edification is just the face that I was making when she had been admitted into the hospital on Wednesday, and they told me I wasn't allowed to stay. So she said we should take a selfie before I left. And this selfie captures my quite significant rage at being asked to leave the hospital. Yeah, but I feel better now that I know that even Steve could only get in there for 5 minutes. So instead we, there's Duncan in his cell. There's all the goods that got taken. We went down to the beach to take some shots to send to Arta because she has spent so many times walking on the Arbutus Cove beach along the sand. So off we were taking pictures of what it looked like that we'll, send to Arta. And we did think a lot about the typical pictures you would get of people and footprints across the sand, wandering off into reminding us all to meditate on life and blah, blah. So we had Mary be our model, and she attempted to replicate what those photos look like, those posters with the footprints going across the sand. But it's the moment that we also kind of remembered that when you come from a family of people with flat feet, looks more like a box than footprints going across the land. So this one being not quite what we wanted, we got her to try again to see if we could get a better version. And so she produced this one, which we kind of like because you can see the toes, but it also captured a little bit more of what we imagine Arta's footprints in the sand would be, which is a little bit more like, I'm here in the sand. So there is today the update, and we'll see what Mary and Richard bring back to us after they return from the hospital later on tonight. So much love to you all, and more updates later.